What's up, everyone? Welcome to season 3, episode 3. This is Real Talk with Casey and JoJo. What's up, Casey?
What's up, JoJo? Like you got a little chip on your shoulder.
No, what are we talking about?
I mean, we're talking about what we've all experienced over the last couple of years, the pandemic, and how it just went away. It's like it never happened. Starbucks doesn't have the things up anymore. They've taken the
The
plastic shields down.
yeah.
I
The
mean, it's
masks are off, everything is off, but yet you still see some people that walk in, you know,
with it on.
yeah.
Well, because it's precautionary. I mean, there's a new variant popping up in the Northeast. Who knows?
Right, right. But what's funny to me is from the get-go,
From the jump.
it didn't make any sense, right? All the common sense of you have to be 6 feet away, but yet I'm giving you my credit card, you're holding the credit card, like so many little things. Like you could take it off when you sit down because the big bad wolf isn't going to come get you while you're sitting and eating, but it is going to get you when you go walk from there to all these little things that just never made sense, right? And that people kind of got upset with me over because I wasn't following the rules and I wasn't complying to authority, right? They're walking down the aisle in the correct way that it tells you to walk. Like, what in the world, right? And then here I am not doing any of that. And I look like the bad person, the one that they call out for not wearing a mask, right? At the grocery store.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, oh, it's okay. Now I'm not the bad guy because society and the media said it's okay. Like, what? Do you not know I still have feelings and I still have memories of the times you treated me as if I was a bad person when I wasn't? You know what I mean?
So many places to go with this. But so
that was my rant.
I'm a little less kind of where you are. In terms of like absolute freedom, whatever, don't restrict me. And not that I don't agree with that, because I do, but I also understand like everything you just ranted about, right? Because what has become very clear to me, especially now as the CDC has shifted their guidelines for tracking testing, which is hilarious and scary and almost conspiracy theorists. We can go talk about that later. But I'm starting to think motherfuckers just didn't know what they were doing, man. Like once this, well, yeah, but they meaning, what does they mean? The elite, the Illuminati.
I'm not saying any of those words. They, as in elite? Whoever the powers that be that start stuff and that have things planned way ahead of time,
and right,
like the whole New World Order that now they talk about, for years and years they've been planting the seed. Now they're like, we're ready to do it, and right. Now you're taking it.
How many people?
Turn around, bend
how
over.
Many people would that be?
I don't know.
How many people around?
Less than 100, the rest of the world.
10, 100, 30, 40?
Baby,
I don't know. Just roughly. What would you guess?
I have no clue. I'm not going to put a number out when I have no clue.
You have no clue.
Because I know there's certain families, there's certain
so we'll say less
billionaires, there's certain, you know what I'm saying?
We'll say less than 1%. Let's go with that.
Okay.
That's probably fair.
Okay.
Right? So less than 1% of the world, less than 1% of the population controls the world.
Right.
Yes? Now, not to get into conspiracy theories, Illuminati, none of that stuff, but straight up, we all know a ball was put into motion a long time ago. Okay. Now, if you program things correctly, if you have people believing things in a certain way, if you have people thinking that germ theory is the only theory and terrain theory doesn't exist, Google that.
You can't even say that, babe. I'm gonna have to take that part out. Yeah,
I can't say germ theory.
Yo, they took RL off for talking about that.
For giving my opinion?
Do you know?
Making a comparison?
I'm just saying, do you know how like deep they go into censoring?
No, I don't. Then why are we talking about this?
Because it's important.
It's real talk with Casey and JoJo, but let's not get censored. So let's not talk about or say things that
I'm
we
not
shouldn't
saying
say.
I know this is where we at, and this is because we're filming and putting it out in this platform that, again, those that are in the 1% control. They control what goes out there because they don't want to empower the people, because then people will just stay where they are and comply and do what they're told.
Okay. All right, great. And back to the conversation at hand. To the best of my ability, let me break this down without crossing a road that could get me censored for sharing my opinion in America, because it's the land of the free. Okay,
that's what I've been
cool.
saying.
People just didn't know what they were doing, right? In other words, you have a bunch of doctors, putting out messages, and you've got different doctors. In the beginning, we looked at both sides of it. We watched the doctors that thought it was bullshit. We watched the doctors that thought it was real. They both had points, and that's great. But when we got to the government level, when we got to the city and the states and the counties and all these things, and all these things started happening, and this ball started rolling downhill.
Politics.
Yeah, but there's a programming of fear that's in place, and it's very subtle, and it's not in your face, but it's there, right? And the medical establishment and all this stuff that we as Americans as a whole, as a collective consciousness, believe, right? I don't personally believe it, you don't, but the collective does for the most part, which is the reason you've got whatever the national level of shot percentages are, right? 60%, 70%, whatever it is. Why are you looking at me like
but
that?
But yet we keep declining in our health.
Yeah, but that's not my point. So my point is that all these people put measures into place to help, right? The path to hell is paved with good intentions. Mm-hmm. This is the same thing, right? Like, I think people put up signs, put the mask requirement, made you do things, put up the things because they wanted to limit people's exposure and do everything that they could under human unity for us to get past this together, and the sort of other subconscious message that's been going on from the beginning. So again, I don't think people have been using their brains. I think they've been led by fear, and it shows in how events have unraveled since this began back in March of 2020.
And I totally get it. And I think that those that have been caught up in fear and doing what they've been told and all of that, can they even be aware of what we're even saying? Because it kind of goes in one ear and out the other when you're so programmed. You know what I mean? Like, this all sounds like craziness to someone who has been repeatedly, watching the news or watching something that's like the mainstream telling them a narrative that shifts constantly every so often years, goes from one disease and then all of a sudden it's called another disease, yet they just shifted the name so that the narrative shift can be complete. Like in the 80s when I was growing up, and they programmed us with the dare to say no to drugs, and then we had it all programmed, drugs are bad, but then what do? Give us nothing but prescription drugs. And yet the stuff that they put that to be illegal, like cannabis, and change the name to marijuana. Now marijuana is illegal, right? But it's like they just shifted the name, but yet they used it all the time for hemp, for clothing, for all these things. And then, politics came, taxation came, and then let's switch the narrative and then program the kids and have them grow up to now be in their 30s and 40s believing, oh, that is so bad. But yet it opens up your consciousness and has you kind of question things. So I wonder why they limit it and they put it illegal so that you don't question the authority, just like fluoride.
This is going down that road. Okay. So I agree. I mean, I think, I don't know much about hemp, but what I do know about hemp is I know that it grows, it can fully mature in like months versus a tree years. Right. One of the common also narratives that we've been talking about is the environment, right? Everything's going towards electric cars. And I think in a lot of ways, that movement mirrors the movement of the pandemic in the sense that it's complete, almost based on complete irrationality to a degree. Now, why do I say that? Because, if you look up the ingredients in EV batteries, lithium, whatever, but they're things that are mined from the earth in huge quantities in order to produce a battery that I question whether or not that actually saves the planet as well, right? So in other words, we have paper, trees, toilet paper, paper towels. You cut down trees, you cut down forests, you take out plants that are absorbing the carbon dioxide, the awful humans
but then they
are
make
putting
it
into
seem
the
like
environment.
it's our fault.
Right, but yet you've got something called hemp that could essentially, you wouldn't have to cut down any trees, right? You can provide so much more with hemp, but yet the government and the sort of collectively we've deemed it a crime. We've deemed it,
But then you can cross over to another state and it's totally okay, and it can just medically help you. But in this state, no, it can't help you. It's bad for you.
Right. Yeah.
It makes
You can spend
absolutely
years in
no
jail
sense
for something that's illegal
in
200
one
miles
state,
away.
but not in another.
Yeah, it's crazy. I
Where they
100%
use
agree.
oil parts to help patients, but yet that's looked at as bad because you should use the prescription from the doctor. Like, I don't get the logic, especially because, we've been there. I'm not saying we haven't been there, right? When some crazy event has happened, we've kind of followed along the whole, oh, look at me.
Have we?
Well,
I don't know,
have
man.
we?
Since we've been together, we've been through 9/11,
Okay.
right? Didn't buy into that,
No.
right? That's
We
some
started
questions.
questioning, yeah.
That's some questions. This doesn't make
That's
sense.
kind of what started the question.
Can I even say 9/11? Is
No, it's fine.
YouTube gonna ban me for saying 9/11?
Right. Keep going.
9/11. What else happened? We had the meltdown in 2008. That really wasn't an event with sickness or terrorism.
Okay, there was the whole the narrative of the homosexual disease of AIDS.
Yeah. Oh, we're going back that far. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
but that was a shift,
the after
right?
school specials.
Narrative shift.
Those were scary movies. Philadelphia. It's a good movie. Scary though.
But it got you to think that it was something that it wasn't. And the same people are involved that are involved in the stuff now. So think about it.
Right. And that's kind of what I was talking about in the beginning. You have this proliferation and this like drip of programming, right? So that when something like this happens, it's almost like you've created the mindset of the collective and how they're going to handle it through all these years of programming.
Let me ask you this: like they've been saying the reset, right? The whole reset. You have the book,
The Great Reset.
The Great Reset. They've been talking about it. They've been talking about the New World Order, since like Reagan. But they've been dripping, stronger. All of a sudden, they've had it planned all this time to start right around now, because they knew the economy would be the way that it is. How so? Unless they knew that this whole pandemic was going to shift things. And if they knew the pandemic was going to shift things, wouldn't they have to know about the pandemic before the pandemic? Just like October before the pandemic, when they did the whole like trial in New York. I mean, I don't get it.
And that brings up again the question, like one of the things, like I'm a sports fan. I mean, I'm not as big a sports fan as I used to be. I follow college sports really only and dab in the professional sports. But one thing that I did quite a bit over the course of the football season was just be in complete alarm at the amount of people that were in a stadium for a pandemic that we were in, for a pandemic that 12 months ago, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a bunch of bikers that drove up to South Dakota. Do you remember this? And it was like this super spreader event, and it was on the news, and it was like blaming these poor people for spreading the pandemic disease.
Why would I know this? I don't pay attention.
I don't know, I don't know if you guys remember that, but my point is that suddenly the narrative shifted over the course of time to where We're allowed to gather in 60, 70,000, 100,000 people with no masks on. My son's into F1. We're watching the Australian race last week. It was in Melbourne. Australia's been one of the biggest, like hardest, badass countries with like battling and restrictions and all this stuff, right? And yet it was the largest sporting event in Australian history. I think 450,000 people, if I remember correctly. Hardly any of them had masks.
But yet the kids have to go to school masked up.
Like, what the fuck, man? Like,
what is that? Like,
been,
how do you do this to a child? I don't understand. Limiting the oxygen to because somebody says that it's right. Like, wouldn't you be just questioning whether you're actually doing your kid a favor or really psychologically messing them up for life?
Well, and you
I'm sorry,
so
real talk.
Going along the narrative, that you bring up a great point, because think about kids, right? The 3-year-olds to like the 12, 14-year-olds.
You know,
high school kids, I think sort of kind of like can discuss this the way we are and kind of go, I don't know. But that 3 to 12-year-old range, I mean, most of the time they're going to be
whatever their parents say.
Right. And they're going to be motivated, or they're going to be very susceptible to fear. Right. So they're growing up in a time in their life. Like, we remember what it was like. We talk about this shit all the time. We grew up in the 80s, man. Like in the 80s.
We were the last ones to have freedom. Yeah, real.
We came in at night when, we came in for dinner when it was dark, and we were gone for hours.
Without
and my parents didn't give a shit. We didn't have seatbelts. The generation prior to that, probably the same way. But my point is that these kids are growing up with these restrictions and these rules and this lockstep follow. Them. Right. What is their mentality going to be like moving forward? When this happens again, how much easier are they going to be to fall in line lockstep? And how much easier are their kids going to be to fall in line lockstep?
And control. And next thing you know, you're doing exactly what they say, or else they stop your car, block your phone. Like,
bro, and that's another thing, man. These electric cars, I can't get with it, man. I can't get with it. Like, we're in Best Buy the other day, and they've got locks that are programmable. And forgive me because I don't keep up with technology like that, because I have no interest in having a home that can be controlled by my mobile device. Like, I want to be able to stick a key in and know that all that shit can be hacked. Right. But it's the same thing. It's like, we're so ready to give over all of our, not freedom, but all of the things that we do. Yeah. All of the things that we do, we're just, sure, link it up. My refrigerator, link it up. My house, link it up. My air conditioner, link it up. My fan, my lights, everything, cable, link it up. Cable. Oh, it's not even real anymore. Like internet, entertainment.
Everything.
Link it up.
What is it called? The whatever of things,
all through this,
the Internet of Things,
right? And the next step is what? After this, where do we go? To a chip?
The RFID chip that they're already talking about, that people are already putting under their skin and going like this to scan stuff. Like, hello.
And then you get into the whole, like, a chip in my brain, so that why do I even need this when I can just think it? I can just think, turn the heat up to 77. They're already talking
about that. And then your memories will just, so that you don't lose memories, it's all stored in there. Like, I don't know, man. We're in a place where things are drastically shifting. I know we entered the age of Aquarius, and Aquarius is all about technology. I get it. And we have to go through this technology kind of era. I'm glad I'm not going to be living when all of this is way like technological.
It might be.
Yeah, true. But maybe I'll grow up
in a village in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, because I will be like in the 1900s. That makes me think of Cloud Atlas. How Cloud Atlas, they had like the super futuristic, but then there was also the old ways, and they lived on like in the land. Yeah. So it's like, it's not that it's back in the day, but if you're having to grow your own food, make your own clothes, fetch for your water, it's gonna feel like the 1900s. But you could be in the future, kind of separated from, this new world order where you do what we say and comply or else this happens. Even though we're going to give you a lot of freedom, we're going to provide you with a lot of free things, and it's going to be so much easier, but you got to comply. I will not comply. So I will be over here, making my clothes and getting food from the land. Like if that's what it has to do, be, then that's what it'll be like. But the point is, that wasn't my point.
All over the place.
Yeah, you made me lose track though in this last one. It's systematic. It's a slow drip, like you said. It's like a slow drip with all of this. And now when you can see that things just shift in your face, like this all came about because we were at Starbucks, and we are always at Starbucks working, and we're like, oh God, the plastic things are gone. and that's what kind of just triggered it all, because, oh, everything's normal. And why? Because they said so. That's the part that just really, like, I don't believe enough people are questioning anything, because they've been brought up to not question things, to just follow authority, listen to your teacher, listen to the cops, listen to the politicians, listen to whoever. I'm sorry, my authority comes straight from God.
And I think that you're definitely right on that, but also a little bit taking it a step further. It's like the FDA has my best interest at heart. Pharmaceutical companies have my best interest at heart. The government wouldn't allow a shot unless it was for my best interest, right? And those are the type of questions that I think should be asked. And it's one of the things that, I asked in the beginning, just to myself and my own kind of inner dialogue. It's like, all right, as we get through this, very quickly, you found out that older people with comorbidities, which is a huge percentage of people in this country, those are the people that were the most at risk, right? Looking back over the last 2.5 years, you can kind of go, okay, if this happened again now, what's the first thing that should happen? Shut down all the schools, wear masks and, follow the same path? Or should we think if government had come out and said, we're gonna attack healthcare, and we're gonna attack individual Americans' health, right? We're gonna teach people about their bodies. We're gonna teach them how to eat correctly. We're gonna really strike down or get down on the food makers and all the chemicals that they put in the food and all the little things. Because if you're not aware of what I'm talking about, everything that you come in contact, from shampoo to soap to toothpaste to the food you eat, anything that is packaged, anything that does not come out of the earth directly, that is manipulated by a manufacturer, probably has something in it that's detrimental to your health. Now, I know what you're going to say. No, we die. It's very small amounts. But when you take the aggregate of all of those small amounts that you put on your skin, that you ingest through your mouth,
thinking that it's normal,
right? The stress that you get through your eyes, through your ears, you put all of this together, along with our daily lifestyles, the way stress, that we're programmed with time, all of these things, stress. Yeah. You put all that in the mix, and you've created a situation where humans and Americans and the world can be manipulated pretty easily through various things. So back to the point at hand, if you had come out, if the government had been more strict on that, if the government, and I don't know how you mandate this is all just freestyle hypothetical, right? But if the government gave a shit about people's health, that should have been the first thing that they've done, because the statistics and the CDC has known what the projected diabetes rate is going to be, what the projection of overweight people is going to be. In 2018, the life expectancy in the United States went down for the first time in recorded history. But nobody said shit. Nobody cared. right? Then 2 years later, you have something that comes out that, guess what? All those people, all those things that were named are a problem. They're the ones that are going to get hit hardest by this issue. So to sit back and to say that the CDC gives a shit or the FDA gives a shit, it's like, yo, they have all the facts and they know, but they continue to allow our food to be manipulated, allow our, all the things that we use to be manipulated.
It's like becoming more synthetic, because this whole transhumanism,
yes.
which is a whole nother episode, is we are becoming more synthetic. From the moment we are born, we're injected with toxins and synthetics that, if you really do your research and just go back to the beginning of time, you'll realize that, some stuff. But all of the we're becoming synthetic.
One of the funniest things I've seen in the last couple of weeks with regard to this topic is our good buddy Fauci literally in an interview stating that if you've gotten sick and you've gotten this virus, you don't need a shot. Immunity, natural immunity, is the best protection. Science must have changed since then. It must have been a science change. It must have been a shift in science that caused that statement to no longer be true.
Completely shifted.
What? And it begs the question too. We haven't talked about this, but it was funny how as these restrictions and as these requirements have started going away, I think Jamaica opened up their borders today. You're not required to have a proof of shot.
Really?
Yeah, man.
We're going to Jamaica then. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I feel trapped. You don't understand. I feel like a bird in a cage that can't go anywhere. And for someone who has been traveling a lot, because I would say we would travel a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
And we started to travel even more, like right before this happened. And all of a sudden, I can't go anywhere because of all the restrictions. Oh, yes, I can go if I follow along. I don't follow along. Okay. So
newsflash.
If I'm a free person, a sovereign being who also has a mask exemption, and that's still not allowed because I have to have it regardless of my exemption, then how am I flying? How am I getting out of here?
Nah, like, take a boat.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's reasons why I need to go visit my mom, right? And I can't.
You have to drive. I
have to drive. That tore me up. Other than that, I have to wait until they take off that restriction. So I feel like I'm just caged. I can't go anywhere. Like, what kind of freedom is that? How do I live in a place that supposedly is for freedom, but yet I have no freedom? Yeah, I can drive around. That's it.
Yeah, no doubt. But it's interesting how, when this war with Ukraine started, that's kind of when magically everything just went away.
Oh, okay.
It's like, we're not looking in this direction anymore. We're looking in this direction. And it's crazy. Not
that I'm being insensitive, but that's just real talk. That's just how it is. It is that way. And if you look at other things, if you look at all the events in the past, there's always something and then a distraction. Oh, look over here. Oh, I remember, 2020. What was 2020 all about? I wrote it in my book. I wrote the entire thing as it was happening every single month. They're like, oh, this happened. Oh, such and such fell off the, not fell, but died from the helicopter and all that. That's a whole nother story. But then what happened? Then it was the whole, oh, I can't breathe movement.
Yeah.
Which followed along with the mask movement, which is I can't breathe. I mean, just everything was so scripted.
Is that what did you refer to that? The child trading?
That too. I mean, like the whole year, if you were to think about, seriously, if you were to look at all the years, right? And all the narratives and all the things that you could say about all the years, you would say that Stephen King wrote that 2020. Like it was scripted by Stephen King or whoever.
Yeah. Like if you
Somebody
If you went back
scripted
20
that
years
year.
and read that, it'd be like the 1984 or something similar to that, right?
Yeah, like it was just so
Yeah.
scripted. If you go back, go read my book. If you go back and look at every single, it just, I know people were caught up in the moment, but if you were to look back at it, it's so
Yeah.
convenient.
There's a definite movement towards more bodily health autonomy. And it's not, I don't even know if that's the right phrase or way to put that, but like we're going to take back control of our bodies, right? Like this shit,
Oh yeah,
this
it's gonna
shit just
eventually
can't.
get better.
Right. It's going to get better. And when I say take control of their bodies, our
Thousands of
bodies,
years later.
what I mean by that is that, what I believe is I believe that as long as I treat my body correctly, right, I'm sound of mind, body, and spirit. If I have all three of those things, whatever's going to happen to me is going to happen to me, right? Like I do a podcast on Akasha, and it's health equals fitness plus bad luck, right? And what does that mean? That means how fit you are, meaning how you take care of your body, how fit your mind is, right? How fit your soul is, how fit and balanced all three of those things are, plus bad luck equals health, meaning shit's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're gonna get into a car accident, you're gonna fall, you're gonna get sick or go through
You don't have to name all the stuff because it's kind of like
what's the process called when you let go of thing, when you get sick, what's the
detoxification
event? Yeah, you're going to go through these things. Stresses happen, right? But the more fitness that you have, it mitigates the bad luck. But we've been taught, again, we've been programmed over the years, and I think really in the 60s and 70s specifically, that generation and on has been heavily programmed
to rely on others.
I need to rely on a doctor. I need to go get a physical. I need to be told what to do. I need to trust that this doctor understands anything and everything about my health. And I'm not saying some doctors don't understand that, but we both have personal experiences. Our families have personal experiences where sometimes doctors just do what they do because they do
funnel them down to where they need to go.
Correct. They just point them down a path because that's the way we do it, and that's the way
they were taught.
And there's going to come a time very soon where we take ownership of our health again, and we respect our bodies for the power that it possesses if we have the trinity of fitness, if you will. And that's coming. And man, I can't wait, dude. Because the way I feel about it is, if I found out I had cancer tomorrow, fuck it. I'm gonna live my life, and I'm gonna probably eat better. But the question is why do we have to have an event? Why do we have to have a cancer diagnosis before we then go, oh, I'm gonna eat better, I'm gonna treat my body better, I'm gonna be better? Right. Like that's the type of shit I'm talking about. Right. Like we should all, I mean, we can't always be our best, but we should strive to be our best day in and day out. So many motivational speakers, so many people doing podcasts like this, talking about this shit. But yet how many of us live it on the ground floor? Right. Mm-hmm. Not too many, man. And we're depending on medical institutions and doctors, and it's
just something outside of yourself, and farther away from your true self, your inner, your God within, like that's where you get all the answers. That's where you get the that's where you get the health. That's where you get like that unity consciousness and all that, but we're going everywhere but that. We're going outwardly instead of inwardly. And that's the problem.
Yeah. You know what? FDA going to give me a free mask. FDA want to give me a free shot. How about giving me some free fucking fruits and vegetables, right?
Right.
How about handing out fruits and vegetables, right? At grocery stores, and having health advocates.
Some free gym memberships, right?
Having health advocates in a store, or these pharmaceutical and all these doctors that know all this shit about the human body. How about having them handing out fruits and vegetables and helping people eat better and eat right and exercise? Why don't you do that shit? Why don't you start that program
instead of a free donut? Right? I think we went over that last time.
IR motherfucking S. Why don't you give people tax deductions if they have a doctor's note or a card that says they've lost 20 pounds over the last 12 months. Why the fuck don't you do that? Right? So many things that we can do, but again, ain't no money in that.
Right.
Ain't no
Ooh,
money in that.
yeah. I think we should end it there because that is the point.
Fucking
Ain't no money in
stupid,
that.
man. Ain't no money in that.
And see, this all can get us very like worked up talking about it because it's real, it's happening, and people just need to wake up and see it,
Yeah, a lot of resources out there. Take ownership of your health. Figure this shit out. Your intuition, man, tells you what's right and wrong.
And
you know what to
question
eat.
shit.
You know what not to eat. If you read a label and you can't pronounce it, put it back. You should be able to pronounce everything you put in your body, period.
Yeah.
And guess what? All them pharmaceutical drugs can't pronounce not a damn one of them. That's why they call it, what do they call it, like
the generic and the
no. What is it? What is like Prozac? They're not gonna call it Prozac by carbonate, whatever the fuck. Prozac. They give it a nice little lovely name. You can't read it, don't eat it. Period.
Yes. And if you guys want more information of like the true history of things, of like things that we've been talking about, we have a podcast. RL goes over a lot of history about the whole theories.
He's talked about Hitler. He's talked about
germ theory,
autoimmune deficiency syndrome. I don't know if you know like say that in America anymore.
I know, right? He goes over a lot and teaches us a lot of information. I go over a lot of the metaphysical meanings behind stuff, behind scripture, behind like what it truly means, all the layers. So yeah, if you're interested, hit up QEacademy.love. You just got a new domain, QEacademy.love. It's a community. It's also an academy. It's a lot of esoteric truth, mind, body, spirit, just supportive accountability community.
Yeah, if you're feeling what we're talking about, if you're that person, if this shit resonates with you, if you want to take control of your life, if you want to take control of your mind, if you want to implement meditation into your life, if you're tired of the bullshit
and you want to just authenticate yourself and be more authentic and be the real you and be accepted and just all of that.
If you want to have the health trinity, fit, mind, body, and soul. That's what we're about. That's what we teach. And that's what we try to share. Because that's the way we are. And that's the way we try to live our lives as well.
Yeah.
Lives.
All
right, guys.
Thanks for watching. We are out. Peace.